Yo, what's good, guys? It's your boy No Name. It's been a busy week, you know? It's time for me to talk about what I thought about last like Epoch's 1.0 launch finally. Would have tried to do this sooner, but I've just been like really down on the grind, right? Head down on the grind so much, like I'm ranked level 100 and whatnot, right? Like it's a ridiculous amount of what's going on. So now I think it's a great time to talk about all the stuff surrounding the launch and my thoughts on it. If you like content like this, feel free to like to the video. Subscribe if you want to see even more stuff on the ARPG side. I've kind of realized that's just my thing. Let's talk about ARPGs as a whole. PoE is my main game, but I just like ARPGs. So let's get right into it. So it launched on the 21st, right? That Wednesday, and I got a couple thoughts immediately, right? One, before we get into the major elephant in the room, Wednesday launch, not a fan. Like my schedule works for it, my friend's schedule works for it, but it's pretty cringe. Um, just like Wednesday midday, people are working during that time, like working. I really want to see them move towards a Friday launch at some point, but they have to solve the elephant in the room before I think that's even like worth doing, right? What am I talking about when I say this? Of course, I'm talking about the server problems that the game had. Error code LE61, right? Like we saw it so many times that first day, or at least you guys did. I ended up going offline after the first hour of it because I decided that I just couldn't take it. I wanted to play the game more than I wanted to specifically like be on ladder and all this. I lost out on the guaranteed credibility of the characters I make because people can always be like, oh, but you probably edited that. And it's like, no, I didn't. I don't do that. That's not who I am. And I don't really need to defend myself against that. I just wanted to play the game. I thought that the way that the online launched was abysmal, but not surprising. People around me who played during the 0.9 multiplayer launch during our early access, we saw this happen then, and we were like, this is going to be a bigger scale launch, and we don't think they're prepared for it. So we went in expecting like, we're gonna try to see if we can play online, but we knew that offline was a very real possibility for all of us. That leads me to two related thoughts. One, let's talk about the way that the community's been treating them. I think that's a little excessive. The amount of hate, the amount of like shit thrown their way that they're getting. Not because I think that they don't deserve it, like deserve to be heckled for their performance. It's just, the internet always takes it too far. But it's worth noting, this is a ridiculous problem to be having. And the fact that there are still connectivity issues as I'm recording this video on Sunday, right? Like we are still having major connectivity problems. This is the problem level. The scale of these problems is akin to like Path of Exile's 3.14 league start, like that initial day on Ultimatum League. Like it's about that level. But GGG was an ongoing company, whereas EHG is their first launch. There's a little bit of grace here. But it still is a little ridiculous how long this problem has gone on, and the fact that they never just properly pulled down and made a good fix. I've been hearing it's much better now though, and especially once you get out of the campaign, the game is playable. But that's neither here nor there. The other thing that I want to talk about, the other two things are not being able to use my cosmetics in offline mode. Fucking blows, dude. Like why did I pay for them if I can't use them? And I know that it's got something to do with like authentication or whatever, or them just being lazy with the product, and I'm deciding which one I think it is at the moment. But under either circumstance, it's unacceptable that I can pay for the game and its cosmetics and not be able to use my cosmetics because of their servers being trash if I wanted to play. Or they advertise the offline capabilities of the game so heavily, but I can't use this if I'm just like playing on the road. I'm on a train and I wanted to play some. I can't use my cosmetics there either. Whatever the scenario may be, my internet's down. I wanted to play some. I can't use my cosmetics because I'm not online. Like that is ridiculous and unacceptable. Just flat out. I don't have any there's no silver lining here or anything. I find that to be extremely unacceptable. And frankly, it just feels like a slap in the face, quite frankly. It just feels, again, either lazy or overly protective of something that we can just mod in anyways. Which that's kind of a personal problem, that I don't really want to just mod it in. I don't really believe in making modifications to games. That's like a thing that I don't actually do all that often. Outside of games where it is like colloquially the norm, such as like, play like WoW. It's pretty normal to expect that you have a suite of add-ons downloaded, right? Or like Final Fantasy, and I know like in ACT is forbidden over there, but like it's still heavily used, right? Like outside of standardized and pretty expected modifications to the game, I don't do a lot of that. And I like playing the games at base, but this is just ridiculous. Anyways, not to get derailed on this for too long, because there's a lot of other good things to talk about. I just wanted to let that frustration out, so that other people who are feeling this frustration know that they're not alone in this frustration. Like, if you're feeling this problem, if you're feeling this, I'm with you. Now, the other thing is that, being an offline also means that there's absolutely no support from Merchant's Guild whatsoever, which kind of sucks. If you wanted to be an offline player in any capacity, but it's to be expected. And more importantly, I just think that, maybe they should look into finding a way to do offline online reconnect, remerging. But I know that that's a really difficult thing to do because of issues with, like, again, verification of things on accounts that were modified. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, the launch thoughts out the way. Let's start with Merchant's Guild versus Circle of Fortune. Now, as an offline player, I've only played a Circle of Fortune, but that was my plan going into this anyways. So there's no issue there. And maybe thinking, why not do trade? It's the newest thing, right? Well, technically, Circle of Fortune stuff is also new to the game on this patch. And more importantly, it just makes the game feel better the way that I wanted to play it. Merchant's Guild is a very trade-focused approach to this game. It feels a lot like a way to bait a PoE player over into playing Last Epoch, because it takes all of the effort out of grinding loot drops and into grinding money. And while that sounds like the same thing, I mean, think about it in terms of PoE, right? If you played Path of Exile, you know that you would rather go kill some bosses for a high value unique, whatever term, and then sell that item to someone for X amount of divines, and use a portion of those divines to buy the fractured base that you then need to craft, right? Well, you're just turning it into like a Last Epoch example, because in PoE it's pretty common to just buy fully crafted items. But if you're going to craft an item, you would buy the base off of somebody, and that's just because it's more feasible to buy the base. And that is still the case here in Merchant's Guild. Even with the insane loot buffs in Circle of Fortune, you can just play Merchant's Guild by dropping good loot that people will pay for and using it to buy niche items on the market. There's a base type that you use with a certain exalt that people aren't using all that much. The price is probably substantially cheaper than the uniques you can find, right? It's all too economy focused, and that's not what keeps me playing this game. I play this game because I actually really like the feeling of picking up my loot and crafting and like progressing and all of that stuff. And so I think the trade just doesn't fit that part of the vision. That said, I'm so glad that they did this patch, right? Merchant's Guild versus Circle of Fortune, and the value that it provides in the discussion about how to handle SSF in the genre. Because if you look back at like historic examples of this genre, SSF was the way the game was played. And then as time went on and multiplayer capabilities got advanced, then trading got added to these games. And we've seen trade added on more and more as a slap on top of the base experience thing. And so it leaves SSF gameplay out to dry in a lot of respects, just making it innately slower, innately more frustrating, all of that stuff, because trade and SSF players get the same loot drops and everything, but the trade players can exchange hands. Having it be the first time where the drops are distinguished between SSF players and trade players is fantastic. And I think it actually turned out really well. If you want to play trade and you want to do that, you have your paths to efficiency. and it's available. And on the other side, if you wanted to play SSF, you have incredibly high loot drops. And the loot drops are incredible. I'm actually worried they might get nerfed a little bit going into 1.1, but I think the loot drops are incredible, and I like the space that it's in because, you know, it makes the high level optimization feel reasonable. This is the second time that I've actually pushed a character to be really, really high optimized, and I'm still not done. And it's just because a lot of those high end upgrades that I'm pushing for are actually within reach now due to Circle of Fortune systems, which, talking of, prophecies are insane. I absolutely love that system. The greater lenses at rank 7 and rank 8, you guys, that give either double proc rate or double proc of a prophecy or double rewards on proc for a prophecy are both incredible. They make your favor so much more efficient in terms of getting the things that you actually want, as well as the reward types and the way that they combo with the benefits from the ranks themselves of COF. COF's rank rewards are insane. You know, we have even just the first one making things drop roughly double the items, you know, starting at a 35% chance is great. Idols having a 25% chance to triplicate. Oh my god. Making more items be exalted at rank 4, insane. The double rewards for Monolith that goes at 5, insane. Like, the first 5 ranks of COF were so fast that, like, you get empowered to do more than likely half of these, and your character, your ability to farm gear and progress is just so high already. Then we get into uniques getting more LP, and like it's just so insane. And yes, I'm stammering a little bit because it's unfathomable, honestly, how much power they really put behind the SSF experience compared to other games. But then you get to 8, and I think that's when it really takes off, because now you have the double reward prophecy lens, and rares that you drop have a 25% chance of becoming exalted, which that already just sounds incredible. More exalted items, but it has an added layer of an incredible effect in that if you look around on the nodes, you'll see that there's a lot of nodes on the monoliths that say rare relics, rare rings, rare amulets, rare daggers, right? And that it would normally be useless to you once you've got your exalted pieces filled out and you're only looking for exalted bases to try to replace them with. But now those rare nodes can drop exalted nodes, and that value increases. The prophecies that you would be rolling past because they only said rare on it now can roll exalted and therefore have more value to you, right? Which includes like prophecies that literally say, let me see if I have one on me, that say the base type it's going to drop. Yeah, like this prophecy right here, Recollection, is rare Bone Amulet. Bone Amulet is my base type. So now it's going to drop 16 of these things, and I have a chance each of them have a 25% chance to turn into an exalted Bone Amulet. And the drops can be doubled from the rank 10 reward. That's going to be another thing, right? The rank 10 reward, that's the thing I haven't gotten to yet, is just doubling your prophecy rewards. They went really ham on making sure that the loot in this game scaled up and that it like interacted with itself. And I think that's incredible. Please keep doing that. Alrighty. Ooh. Next up, where am I at progression wise? Because it does sound like I'm pretty far, right? I just showed you I'm COF rank 9. My character is level 100, which we'll talk more about the character in a bit, just to give a brief overview of what I've been playing. And then also, I'm Corruption 450 in multiple timelines. Like the current one that I'm in, as you saw, is not actually 450 because I'm getting ready to farm up some new blessings or another blessing. But I have 450, I think, in 3 timelines right now. I believe Black Sun, Reign of Dragons, and Age of Winter are all 450 plus. One of them is 500. We've been pushing pretty hard, and we're still not even close to the cap on this character. So we're still moving. Now, let's talk about the character. What we've done, I've been playing the Torment Warlock based around Chthonic Fissure, as you see here. Fissure shoots out spirits. Spirits apply Torment. The Torment does a ridiculous amount of damage. And so I started actually looking at this idea before like guides are even out, because I saw that, you know, the Warlock stuff went up on max roll, and I was playing around in there looking at trees for stuff. I wanted to play around Torment the moment I saw Torment like get announced, because I just really like the idea of curse scaling, And looking in Chthonic Fissure, there's this node down here that really did it all, right? Like this node is the build. It's the reason this build works. It's our favorite node, Twisted Waves. Your Torment, the curse, does more damage, so more multiplier, just like it is in PoE. 3% damage per 2 necrotic res, which is an insane way to think about. So the first thing I did is I popped open a planner when I saw this node, and I just started jamming necrotic res everywhere I could find. And I found that you could get to about 1300 necrotic res, just going absolutely buck wild on necrotic res. So this is pretty insane, right? And like on my current character, I'm at 702, and that's kind of low. I know I could get it at least to 900 within reason before we start to have real problems getting it further. But the damage just means that I'm doing over 1,000% more damage on this curse. And then you add in all of your other damage scalers, right? Which we'll get into that. We're going to get into that now here too, which is, crit multi is another scaler. You're thinking dot build scaling with crit multi? Don't you worry, fam. Chthonic Fissure's got something for that too. Percent more necrotic damage per added crit multi. So I'm at a total of 325, which is I have 125% added, so it's 125% more damage, right? Absolutely insane way to scale. Also just feels really good to scale through crit multi. And so generally speaking, this is these are things that I came up with my approach, and I had some other things in here with like damned and whatnot, but I ended up taking some stuff from Lizard's version that he posted on Maxroll, which I'll actually drop a link to that in the description just so you can have a written guide if you want to play this character, because I don't think I'm going to make a full guide for this character. If you want to see that, let me know. Like, yell at me if you're like, no, actually make a guide. I want to see how you did it and how you thought through the progression of it. Like if you want to see that, let me know. I just wasn't really planning on it because that's a lot of work for me personally right now, and I have a lot of my like real life work is still going pretty hectic. But if you want to see that, I will figure out how to make it happen. Right now, I rate this character very highly, just because the clear is great, the speed is great. I mean, the speed is like, I have transplant. It's screen wide. It gives me haste and frenzy. Like, it just feels great. It's not rogue fast, but rogues are just broken. So, it is what it is. Defensively, we're insane. Honestly, like you see my resting ward at this point in the character is 4,300. I've had pretty high resting wards since the moment I dropped this helmet. That was like really the moment this build like took off. Once my necrotic res was able to support both my offensive and defensive plan well, that's about when we got far, because the getting it to support my damage was easy. Getting it to support my health was took a little bit, but once we had it, it was boom, night and day. It was insane. We were game timing, right? And then single target's been fantastic. We've done the hardest, like the pinnacle damage testing boss, T4 Jorah. We did it about 40 hours into the servers launching. It was about a 1 minute 2 second kill time at that time, which is now closer to like 46 seconds. we've been absolutely railing it. We're gonna try to get down to the sub 30 if I can, and that's actually the big reason I'm still grinding on this character. But just know that this character has an incredible ceiling, right? Where, like I mentioned earlier, I'm approaching corruption 500, and that's like still I think I've got another 100 corruption minimum in this character, so we're just gonna keep pushing until the wheels fall off, right? So just some things in case, like, a quick thing if you want to like figure out how to cook this up yourself, if you're just interested in the idea. Necrotic res and int are your two main things that you really care about as they scale both your damage and your defenses. Necrotic res covers your damage multiplier as well as the ward regen from our helmet and ward decay threshold from our passive tree. Allow me to show you what I mean real quick. Ward regen from our helmet. This is very important to making sure that I have all this ward. Like if I take this off, you see my ward is plummeting. And the other major thing is this passive node here, imperishable. You need 3 points in it, and you get ward decay threshold per necrotic res, which I'm going to spare you the details. Just notice that is broken, because what it does is it makes it so that your current ward gets subtracted by this amount before put in the ward retention formula. So it's really strong. And then you pair that with intelligence to actually give you your source of ward retention. You see I have 588 ward retention. A large portion of that is because of my int stat. My int stat gives me 452% ward retention, and so that's the majority of my current ward retention, as well as this giving a lot of damage. As you see here, 452% increased damage from my intelligence. So those are the two main stats, and then stats you think scale dots, right? Percent damage for necrotic dot or spell, because torment is considered spell damage. Then you have flat spell damage, or other sources of flat damage in general, like this Ghost Taker that we're using as a pretty core unique for the build. Also pretty common, easy to get, and crit multi because of the note on the tree. And then defensively, we're just stacking up armor, reduce crit damage taken, word retention, and word decay, which, like when I say reduce crit damage taken, you'll see the implicit on the Citadel boots says 49% reduced bonus damage taken from crit strikes. This is an incredible stat. Same for the 44 I have on my chest. This only adds up to about 93, but it's not efficient for me to get the other 7. So it is what it is. If I find an easy source to get 7 more, I'll probably do it. Maybe a sealed item or something like that. But that's 93% reduced bonus damage taken from crits, which is pretty good in and of itself. And then you pair that with my 2400 armor or 3200 armor, so we have even more DR, which you can then pair with, instead of atrophy, the base. I can't remember the name of the base at this moment, but let's just check the filter data real quick here. You get a live moment of me not remembering the piece of my optimization because I decided not to do this. But you can go for the Eternal Gauntlets, which will get you up to 24% of your armor mitigation, also applying to damage over time, if you feel like dot is an issue for you still. If you really just want to become solid, that's how you get there. Okay, that's like the core things. And then skill wise, you can see here we're using Wandering Spirits, Chthonic Fissure, Spirit Plague, Transplant, Profane Veil. Wandering Spirits, this skill is primarily used as our on-hit vessel because of Petroputrescence, as well as a large amount of damage between False Courage and Reap the Damned. This is a good amount of burst damage when then also spawn combined with Profane Veil. Profane Veil is our main defensive skill. Literally, we become immune to hit damage during this, and it's very, very strong for abusing uptime. This also gives us damage through Scorn and Seance. And Seance also gives us a lot of ward. We get a curse. We get 2 curses from it, actually, to then further our damage from to cursed enemies, and then just other good buffs, right? Like, this is a very strong skill. Chthonic Fissure is our main skill. It applies our torment when we scale damage off of it. We also get Damned and Necrotic Res Shred off of it as well. And I take Of Lumen Flames. This is a late game option. I would not take this in the start of the game on the character because it makes the mana cost absurd, but it feels fantastic for clear once you have mana stuff solved and your damage is fine and all of that. Then last 2, we have Spirit Plague. Does some damage, but it's also mostly just a buff and debuff agent, between frailty, slow, poison for activating in here Tomb Gorger, my bad, as well as then giving itself some more damage because it's got good damage and a damage buff for my entire build. It's a very efficient skill that is also a curse. So that gives us our 5th curse of the build. And then Transplant, our movement skill, which it's movement through bone armor. We get an incredible amount of defensiveness out of it, as well as then remember haste and frenzy right next to it, and Culling Strike, because Culling Strike in this game is insane due to the adaptive boss DR that we have. The value gets way higher than is listed on the tin, especially for builds that cannot actually kill bosses before they get to clearly like ramp up that DR. It's a whole lot going on here, right? It's a very, very strong character. Highly recommend it. Very much love it. But like, so why am I still grinding it then, right? Like, besides the fact that I'm having a blast, because it sounds like my character is extremely functional. 500 corruption, deleting bosses. Well, the answer is I'm just having fun. And because I think it'll be really fun to push this character to its absolute limits with the new system. And I think it'll give me something to continue doing while I finish grinding towards COF rank 10. So we're still grinding to replace things like my chest here has vitality instead of it. Literally the only thing I actually want to change, I might change out the fissure ranks for Wandering Spirit ranks. Haven't decided yet. But like the rest of this chest is absolutely perfect, right? My focus needs to have crit multi. Gonna fix that at some point. My rings are both neither perfect. One's not a bone ring. The other doesn't have necrotic res, so therefore can't be this. My belt, I realized that I think the belt implicit for chain belt is actually probably weaker than Praetorian, and I don't have a sealed mod on here or an exalted mod, so this can always get better as well. My boots are actually pretty close, but I don't want CDR as a main stat. I want Ellie res there because I need to free up some res pressure that I have on myself, especially if I don't run Omnis. But I want to get Omnis, and I have multiple Omnises already. That sounds ridiculous to say, but none of them fit my res well enough, nor do they have LP. So I either need a really good roll that fits perfectly for what I need, and I'll use it without LP, but I prefer to use it with LP because this neck is so much damage. Like this neck is a ridiculous amount of damage. It's still not even perfect. If I'm not mistaken, this one isn't even T20 or like perfectly tiered up, right? Like this, and I could define it better. Like this is an insane neck, and so I would like to have an Omnis that really replaces it. But I know that the +1 skill point across the board actually adds a lot of character value. So I'm still weighing that out. Getting some 2 LP versions of my main items. There's a lot of percent damage missing here. Could be up to 200% or more crit multi. I'm missing either necrotic res or flat spell damage for curses here. This is necrotic res or percent damage over time that I'm missing here. This I actually already have my 2 LP on. This was an insanely lucky drop, and it hit the right stats, right? And then I have to finish my idols out, and this is like, remember I was talking about like the grinds, or earlier I was talking about grinds that actually feel doable because of CLF. Idols are a really big part of that. You can do so much target farming for idols, and you kind of have to, because idols are like relics. Or if you were like a Sanctum Enjoyer in PoE, or any other like charms, if you played this League of PoE, while with the Primalist charms, not being able to roll and craft on these items means that you just have to drop a sheer ridiculous volume of them. And CLF gets you much closer to what I think is that ridiculous volume you need. My plan for farming these out is just going to be some stuff involving CLF abuse with either prophecies, which are pretty good for this, or lightless arbor is actually also really good with CLF. And so like we're going to see some stuff here, figure out how we get it done, right? And so the plan from here really is I'm going to be playing a lot more. This character is extremely fun, and I want to finish out CLF 10 on it first, as well as, you know, try to see how much more I can really like squeeze out of this character. And then we'll probably actually do rerolls and other builds and stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the game, and I feel like 1.0 really added a lot to the game that I wanted to see. I wanted end game progression to feel like it was worth the effort that it took to get to that level of gear, and I do think it is. I wanted to see the end game get slightly updated in terms of the way that the speed at which it progressed, which it did. New skill stuff feels great. The SSF versus trade balancing feels great. So I'm actually having a absolute blast with this game. More fun than I had in the previous couple hundred hours that I had played it, and therefore we're going to keep playing it. Which is a ridiculous 180 from my original plan. I was originally just going to play a Warlock, do some stuff, leave, right? Maybe post this video and my last Epoch video and be like, all right, never talking about that again. But here we are. I'm actually just having way too much fun, and therefore, because I'm having so much fun and I plan on playing more, I also will likely be posting other videos about this game. If there are topics that you guys want to see anything about, let me know, right? Like whether that be gearing, crafting, builds, progression, whatever. If there's something you think I should talk about, drop them in the comments, right? It could even just be, hey bro, I'm playing this sick build, you should check it out. If I like the build enough, I might make a video on it, right? And like give you a shout out, who knows, right? Like whatever it may be. But just, you know, let me know what you guys want to see, because I plan on making some videos about builds or maybe some progression things that I can think of. I will be staying offline the entire time, which means I won't actually get to do any merchant guild stuff, but I don't really want to do trade anyways. Again, like I said earlier, not what I played the game for. But most importantly, staying offline instead of going online, so that I can benefit from the accelerated reputation grind for CLF again on future characters, as well as have my bank of affix shards and stuff like that. Like getting the ability to circumvent some of the grind, but still be able to actually like gear my characters and whatnot. Alrighty. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this long video. This has been a bit of a long one, but there's a lot of thoughts, because it's been 5 days of just thought after thought after thought ramping up, and I wanted to kind of just condense all this into one good video. I could have done 2 separate videos, but it's a lot of work, and I have more grinding I want to get to, quite frankly. Like, remember guys, I'm a gamer just like y'all. I just want to play the game right now, man. So it's driving me nuts, like sitting here looking at the game and hearing the game and not being able to play the game right now. So I'm getting ready to go back to grinding. I'll be streaming at nights. I don't stream on Sunday or Monday due to raid, but other nights outside of Wednesday, I could be streaming, could be not streaming. I'm still a little erratic as my body. The seasonal change, seasonal stuff, and weather stuff, and illness, as well as a changing work schedule, has really messed with my streaming schedule. So it's not 100% scheduled yet. It's just more like a thing that I do and turn on. And you should just follow me on Twitter if you want to see when that happens. Link in the description. You can also come check out the Discord. You'll get the notifications there as well when I'm live, or whatever you want to do. Anyways, that's too much yapping for me. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.